With me, I have David, who has very generously allotted some time for us. And I would want David to introduce himself and give us little about his journey with the University of Arizona and his experience with students.
Sure. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Dave Wojteka. I am the Assistant Director for Undergraduate Recruitment and Alumni Relations at the Eller College of Management. I celebrated my 15th year at the Eller College this past June, and I've been at the University of Arizona for 19 years.
Wow.
But really my journey, yes, I've been here a while, but my journey helping students figure out where to go to school and what to major in really began when I was in high school. So I've been doing this for over 30 years, which I'm not quite sure how that happened. And really my function more than anything else is to help students figure out if the Eller College is the right fit for students. And I certainly hope that it is. And ultimately what we want to do for you is help you feel welcome, help you have a plan for what it is that you want to do, to support you along that way, to celebrate you when you've achieved your dreams, and then to help you mentor other students after you've graduated. So I'm going to talk in a little bit about the way students can get involved, certainly our majors, our admissions process, and the career outcomes, which is I know something that you're all interested in. And I'll even highlight some of our recent grads who grew up in India. So you can see it kind of through their experiences.
Excellent. This is going to reach a lot of students, and we have some students who want to ask live questions, of course. So the flow is, I'm going to quickly take you all through the University of Arizona very, very briefly, because I know most of you already know about us. And after that, we will ask Dave to, take us through Eller and its different aspects, and post that we'll keep some time aside for question and answers, right? So let me quickly share my screen and also make Dave the co-host so that he is also able to share his screen. Okay, great. So let's begin. Okay, so the creature who is dancing in front of your screen is Wilbur, and he welcomes all of you. Wilbur is the mascot of the University of Arizona. So this is like the first introduction you will ever have to the university. University of Arizona was established in 1885 and is Arizona's land-grant university. It's based in Tucson, which is located in the southwestern part of the US and has a global reach. We are amongst the 62 members of the Association of American Universities, about 3,000 plus faculty, and lots of undergraduate students on campus. Again, these are some few highlights about the university. I think what is very peculiar is that we have more than 300 majors. A lot of them belong to Eller, and Dave will explain us, which are those. Of course, about 9 on 10 students receive some kind of financial assistance, or I would say scholarship. So definitely, keep in touch with us for the updated scholarships so that when is the right time to apply and what kind of scholarships can you expect. We have about 36,000 plus undergrad students on campus and about 10 to 12,000 graduate students on campus. We're often in the top 10 universities as far as the recreation center is concerned. So the student life is excellent. If you're somebody who likes to be a part of different clubs due to your interest, whether it's science or consulting, management, athletics, etc. We have about 600 plus clubs which are started by some of our extremely talented students. The student to faculty ratio is about 15 to 18. I guess we don't go beyond that. As far as research is concerned, we spend lots of millions of dollars every year as total research expenditure. A lot of you who are looking to get into the field of research, I think University of Arizona is a great fit for you. We're very proud to also include that we are number 6 as far as the NASA funding is concerned, and in the top 20 public research institutions. Again, little more highlights about the student life. The faculty, we have some amazing faculty on campus. A lot of them, are Nobel Prize winners, and they have some great experience, not just academic, but also they come from the industry. So they bring in a lot of first-hand experience, which is extremely resourceful for international students. These are some of our prominent rankings. Very recently, we were in the top 40 public universities by the US News and World Report ranking 2021. Since online has been our way of life last 2 years, I think these rankings are also extremely relevant. Especially we ranked number 6 for the best online bachelor's program in business, and also our psychology rankings are pretty high. So you know that even if you're beginning online and unable to reach campus, you are doing, one of the best programs in the nation. Now, a little more about Tucson. Tucson is a college town and often called as a very sunny, laid-back city. And students who generally like outdoors, like trekking, biking, hiking, etc., are definitely going to love Tucson. And it is Arizona's second largest city. The average temperatures throughout the year are pretty good. I mean, especially for Indian students who are not accustomed to extreme climatic conditions, I think Tucson is a really, really, great place to be. And you do not have to, it's a student city. So there are students all over, great place to make friends, and some friends that, you would, of course, make lifelong. These are some of our popular majors, right from aerospace to astronomy to management information systems, which is one of our most popular courses at Eller. We have something for everybody. I know that today we are here to talk about business courses, and but these are some of the other courses that we offer. In general, the admission requirement is that you require last 3 years of coursework. So whenever you are getting in touch with us, to talk about your application, make sure that you know that you need last 3 years of coursework. So if you're currently in your 12th grade, you need your 9th, 10th, and 11th grade mark sheets. If you've graduated, your high school, that is, you are done with your 12th grade, then you will need 10th, 11th, and 12th grade mark sheets or transcripts, whatever is available. Average, generally we need a 3.0 GPA. I know a lot of you belong to different curriculums, state board, CBSE, IB. You do not really have to worry about converting your GPA. You can leave that to us or the admissions team. So don't really get into all that. Just make sure that you're following the process and doing your application well. SAT, ACT is not required for admissions. I've been getting a lot of questions whether SAT will impact the scholarship, will impact your admission. Fortunately or unfortunately, no, because I know that there are a lot of students out there who might still not be able to give, or appear for their SAT exams due to the, lockdown in their countries, cities, etc. So it's absolutely okay if you do not have an SAT score. The personal statement and letters of recommendation are optional for most applications, unless, of course, you're applying for our honors program. You would need these documents. These are some of our study options. Currently, we are doing, of course, in person. Fall 2021 begins on Monday, that is August 23rd. We have flexi in person, we have live online, and we also have iCourses. We'll discuss some of these options maybe later in our Q&A. Arizona Global offers some really amazing programs that you can take up while you are still in your home country. So you can actually begin your bachelor's from India and end up in the US. So you can do up to 2 semesters in India and then eventually complete your degree in the US. We also offer some fully online bachelors. Though limited, there are some really interesting options. And all of this is offered at an extremely reasonable cost. Arizona Academy programs. This is something for the high school students. So if you are in your 11th or 12th grade and you're looking to earn some college credits while you are parallelly, studying, of course, in your high school. So the Arizona Academy offers some great options for you to take up courses that earn you credits. And these credits can be transferred to any university in the US, or of course to the University of Arizona when you're actually applying for your undergraduate. So you're not just doing a certificate degree or an online course that would not give you a lot in return. This will not just give you knowledge, but it will also give you college credits, which are extremely valuable and will keep you, over the edge as compared to some other students who are applying. These are our two intakes. We have an intake in fall and spring. So there are two intakes, guys. Do not miss the deadlines. I'll of course, talk a little bit more about it later. The Global Wildcat Awards every year are the attraction for a lot of students, outstanding academic performance, and we definitely recognize such students. Last year, for the fall of 2021, up to 20,000 US dollars were allotted, and this year probably the number is going to be even a little higher. So keep a tab of what's happening. Visit the university website for the updated details. Okay, with this, I come to the end of a very brief, introduction to the university. I'm going to leave our contact details in the chat box so that you can get in touch with us whenever, you think you're ready with the application. And I am going to quickly stop sharing my screen so that our key speaker for today, Dave, takes over and helps us understand a little more about Eller.
All right. Okay. Interview. Okay, very good. So again, thank you for joining us today, and I'll definitely I will be on for the full kind of Q&A question and answer session. The picture that you see on the main part of the screen here, and I'll get to my virtual background here in a minute, but this is the front side of McClellan Hall, which is where the majority of Eller classes are for juniors and seniors. It's also where we house all of our academic advisors, our career coaching, our global team. We have a global team within the Eller College, specifically events team and all those kinds of things. So these are things, all the things that I'm going to talk to you about today are things that you have access to as first semester students. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is kind of how students get involved. I'll give you some statistics about our involvement, about our career placement, global programs, our majors, our admissions process, and the slight differences that can be for international students. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to highlight some of our recent Eller grads who went to high school in India, and then talk about career placement. And I'm going to give you some examples of companies and jobs that students are getting in each of our majors. So Mr. Eller himself, as a high school student, served as a water boy for the University of Arizona football team. He later joined the military, and following his military service, he started a billboard company. That expanded to a number of different things, including being one of the original owners of the Phoenix Suns NBA basketball team, running Columbia Pictures and Circle K, the convenience store chain. What we offer, I would say, more than anything else as a college is a close-knit community and professional development. And what we're looking for are leaders, and leadership can come in a number of different ways. I know one of the things I was asked to talk about is where our rankings are. So as you may know, and I know you've seen some of the rankings so far, here are some business specific rankings. Also, I just want to note that the picture that you see on the left-hand side of the screen, this is the opposite side of our building. But this is the current U.S. News and World Report ranking. So you can see we're one of the top ranked business schools in the United States. Our highest ranked major is Management Information Systems. As you can see, we are the #2 public ranked MIS program in the United States. MIS rankings have been published by U.S. News and World Report going back to the 1980s. And during that time, there are only 3 schools that have been ranked in the top 5 in MIS every single year: MIT, Carnegie Mellon, and the Eller College of Management. That's it. We also, by the way, if you're interested, our master's in MIS program is also ranked in the top 5 every year. And that's something that students can complete immediately following their bachelor's degree, and that can be completed in person or fully online. Our other really high ranked majors are entrepreneurship and marketing. So those would be our highest ranked majors. again, students get involved in a number of different ways. We have academic advising, we have career coaching. One of the things I wanted to mention about our career statistics is we are still collecting them for spring 21. COVID made that a little bit more difficult than it has been traditionally. So as of graduation, 83% of our seniors said that they had at least one internship while they were in school, and 85% said they either had a job, were going to graduate school, or going into the military. Comparing that to where we were at in May 2020, when we had easier ability to collect data, we had 91% of our seniors for the last 3 years had at least one internship, and 90% had a job placement rate. I spoke to the director of our professional development center just a couple of days ago, and the data that we've collected over the last couple of weeks indicated that we're just a few students away from hitting that 90% career placement again this year. What we found in COVID, based on what our students are telling us and what companies are telling us, internships, especially last summer, which were much more impacted by the pandemic than full-time job offers. So one of the things that we did in response to it last year was we created a summer career business institute where students could do fully online and for free technology workshops. They could do virtual company visits. We had 100 students completed in 2020, and we had another 75 completed this year. So we're very, very excited about that. We teach 2 career classes, one for first-year students and one for second-year students, designed to help you have an idea of what your career options are and what makes the most sense for you as an individual person. We will work on things like your resume, you'll create a LinkedIn profile, and you'll do your first case competition. So we're a business school, which means we're going to teach you to compete, but we certainly encourage our students to do their best and try to win. But we definitely encourage students to think of their teammates and their competitors as their professional network for their entire career. So we don't teach winning at all costs. We teach doing your best, but we don't, encourage you to do things to damage the reputations of your competitors or things of that nature. So most often our case competitions are actual companies or organizations saying, we are having this issue in our company. We want to hear Eller students give us solutions, and then they will send executives to hear what Eller students have to say. There are a lot of ways that you can get involved. We have 40 student organizations in the Eller College. All of our majors have at least one student organization. We have student organizations based on cultural identity. So whether that be Professional Women in Business or the Multicultural Business Student Association or whatever, or then industry specific. So people who want to go to Wall Street, or people who want to work in the entertainment industry, or people who want to work in MIS or whatever. So lots of different organizations. And those are people that you can meet at the beginning of every semester. So on the first Tuesday of every semester, we do a club fair where you can meet students from the different organizations. We also, in the classroom, we're going to teach you business theory. There's no question about that, but we're going to teach you how to apply it to real world situations. Because if you know what a theory is, but you have no idea what it means, there's really no point. As you can see, we also encourage our students to volunteer in the Tucson community, or, when students go back home during the summer. And with that, 75% of Eller students every year are not from Tucson. So 75% of Eller students every year grew up at least 100 kilometers from Tucson. So if you're wondering, well, gosh, does everybody just kind of go home for the weekends? No, that's just not the case. And over half of our students actually come from outside of Arizona every year. We encourage philanthropy. We also encourage our students to think about business from a global perspective, right? If you think about, iPhones, right? Or whatever, you can do business anywhere from anywhere. And if you don't think about business from a global perspective, I don't think I really have to belabor the point with this particular audience, right? It's really, really important to make sure that you're thinking about business from a global perspective. And we have a number of different programs, and even some students that have gone abroad this year during the pandemic. But when there's not a pandemic, our typical year, I would say we have about 300 to 400 students have some kind of international experience per year. So we have programs where students can take classes. We have programs where they can do service learning, and we have programs where students can do internships. That's my personal favorite. Currently, we have internship options in 4 locations, and you can see them here on the screen. In years past, we've also had London as an option. I anticipate London being an option again here in the future. It wasn't an option this year because, frankly, our partner in London was going to charge the students too high of a cost to complete the program, and it just didn't make sense. Now, these are just the Eller specific programs. The University of Arizona has another couple hundred programs abroad. So if there isn't an Eller program that you want to do, but you want a different kind of experience, then you can absolutely do that. And so giving an example of a recent grad who grew up in Mumbai, as you can see, this is a nice example of a student who got involved in a number of different things and is doing well and chose to go back to India after graduation. So as you can see, she did internships in 3 countries. She was involved in student organizations, and she was a preceptor, which means she was a teacher's assistant. Her current company she's already been promoted at least once. And so I know that she had a really great experience with a finance degree. Finance is definitely one of our more popular majors. I'm going to list those here in just a second, in fact, right now. So the majors here on the left-hand side of the screen are all of our undergraduate majors in the Eller College of Management. If you do not have to know what major specifically that you want to do to be an Eller student. All of our students take the same classes for at least 3 semesters, sometimes even 4 or 5 semesters. And you're going to take at least 1 class in all of our majors before you graduate. Now, accounting is our only major that we offer fully online or fully in person. Most students do accounting fully in person. Business administration is the only major we offer fully online when there isn't a pandemic. All of our other majors are offered fully in person. Now, if you are interested in entrepreneurship, it's worth noting that that is a senior major only. So you would need to combine that with one of our other majors. We also have minors and certificate programs. If you do one of our Bachelor of Science majors, a minor is not required, but you definitely can do a minor. Global business is the Eller minor that Eller students do, but you can do minors outside of the college. And it really just kind of depends on what your major is. For example, economics students will often minor in math. Marketing students will often minor in communications or psychology. MIS majors will often minor in computer science, just as an example, okay? So there are a number of different options. And as you see here on the screen that I mentioned earlier, you absolutely can extend your stay by doing a master's degree. In MIS is one of our master's programs that you can complete right after undergrad. Starting as again, being a pre-business student is how you would start, or pre-economic students at the University of Arizona is how you would start as a first-year student. There's only one additional kind of competitive, if you will, requirement for students, in that we do, the Eller College requires a TOEFL score of 70 to be a pre-business student. But other than that, that's assuming that you are an English as a second language student. You may not be, but if you are, that's the only additional requirement that we have for incoming students. The competitive process for one of our upper division majors typically happens during your 4th semester. So students need to have at least a 2.75 cumulative GPA. We certainly encourage students to shoot for higher. And then they need to have at least a 2.0 GPA in the required foundation classes that you have to take your first 2 years. That's management information systems, that's English composition, that's microeconomics, that's the financial and managerial accounting, business communication, and then math. But it's math to solve business problems, not random questions that you might get in other math classes. The math classes that we require go from business calculus through business statistics and business analytics. Once you, and so we look at your GPA in both of those, your cumulative GPA, your foundation classes, and then you'll do a cover letter and resume that we will help you with, and an interview that we will schedule for you. In a typical year, a typical semester, I would say, we typically admit between 75 and 80%. And that's data going back over 20 years. And as I mentioned earlier, I've been at the Eller College for the last 15, and I have looked at our acceptance rate every single semester, can tell you that that is consistent. So our lowest acceptance rate, and it only happened one time, was 73%, and that was 5 years ago. Then once you get into one of our upper division majors, we will put you in the majority of your classes. And with the exception of one finance elective, all of our upper division classes in Eller meet Monday through Thursday. So no classes on Friday. And when you apply for professional admissions, that's when you have to pick a specific major. Now, if you are, and being an international student by itself does not mean you're necessarily an English as a second language speaker, but if you are, I want to be transparent that there is also a language requirement that you be evaluated on. And so that's done by our business communications faculty. And so when you go through your interviews, this is not to be a pre-business student. This is to go into the upper division. We will evaluate how you answer your questions both in spoken and written form, and on one of 3 levels. So if you are at high level proficiencies, then that's great. That's no problem. If you may need some additional language support and you have mid-level proficiency, then you absolutely are still admissible to the upper division. Then you would just need to do like a couple of workshops, which also kind of along with that, our native English speakers often have to go through workshops if their resumes are not strong enough. So it's not specific to a second language. If, however, you are deemed a language proficiency of low, then you would not be admissible for that specific semester, but you are definitely eligible to reapply. Most students who go through our process are not denied based on language. So it is not an issue for most students, but it can be for some. So are the requirements that you need. You need to have at least one of these things, and it doesn't matter which one. It can be any of them to be eligible, and this you have to have by professional admission, not by the time you start as a first semester freshman. So you either have to have the TOEFL score or the IELTS score or the CESL endorsement, and it doesn't matter how many times you have to take the test. So if you had to take the TOEFL twice or even 3 times, and you didn't get it until your 3rd time, that's okay. And for Eller professional admissions purposes, those scores don't expire. So if you took it, say, 3 years ago, for Eller professional admissions purposes, that doesn't matter. We will absolutely still honor it. But we also have something that I think you may be excited about, which is for really, we have expanded. There's a way that students can be guaranteed admission to the our professional program, and it is now expanded for how international students can qualify for guaranteed admission to the upper division. So you'd have to have a cumulative at the time you apply for professional admissions, your U of A GPA would need to be at least a 3.75, and your business class GPA needs to be at least a 3.5. Now that's the exact same as domestic students here in the US. And you have to have any one of the 3 things at the bottom. So if you have a TOEFL score of 100, and again, it doesn't matter how many exams. If you have an IELTS score of at least 7.5, if you have a CESL test score of at least 126 with at least 42 in each of the 3 sections. If you have the GPAs and one of those things, you are absolutely 100% guaranteed admission to the upper division, regardless of how many students we have applied. 100% guaranteed. And you are guaranteed admission to your major of choice. So this is the first semester we have offered this, so I'm very, very excited about this. We worked with our partners in UA Global and our Office of Admissions and just our internal team, and this is something that we are all on the same page about, and I'm very excited to be able to share with you today. So you're the first group that have heard of potential students who have heard this. We also have a Bachelor of Arts in Economics major, which is a non-competitive entry as long as you have a 2.0 cumulative GPA and have passed calculus and economics. So what some students will do if they are denied professional admissions and they don't want to have to wait to reapply for another semester, you can do our Bachelor of Arts in Economics, which is a full Eller degree without having to wait, and you can still complete your degree on time. So I'm going to give you some examples of some of the common jobs, and you can see companies that students are getting based on our different majors. I was very excited to put Yashu here on this screen. So he was one of my students in the career class that we teach a couple years ago. Wonderful student, and so I'm excited that he's gone on to graduate school now. So accounting, we have, I would say most of our students who go into accounting do go to Big Four accounting firms. Not all, but that doesn't have to be in the US. We absolutely have placed alumni. If you're, now you may say, no, I want to stay in the United States after I graduate. Absolutely, that's an option too. But if you're like, no, India's home, I want to go back home and resume my career there, we absolutely have placed people abroad. In fact, this coming Monday, I'm one of our former MIS students who is Indian American, so he grew up in the United States. He's a consultant for McKinsey. He is currently based in Berlin, although he just told me that he's being moved to London in October. So we definitely do place some students globally after graduation. MIS, I would say our biggest thing, big data, one of our professors, Dr. Sudha Ram, is one of the most world-renowned experts on big data. She has generated tens of millions of dollars in grant money for research in issues of big data. Cybersecurity, of course, is a huge issue, and it's only getting a bigger issue. So our students have expertise in that. And in fact, it was an Eller professor that helped create the MIS discipline, not at the Eller College, but globally. And he's still on the faculty here with us. And so then you can see we have economics students who go into either consulting or research. If you're interested in Wall Street, every single Eller Wall Street intern we've had for the last 7 years has come back as a senior with a Wall Street job offer, and some have come back with multiple Wall Street job offers. And these are just, again, some of the companies based on major. We, again, also have a business, our fully online major, even when there's not a pandemic. And if you have any interest in working in sports, we definitely have had people who have gone into work for sports teams throughout North America. So if that's of interest to you, that's definitely a program that we offer. Then in looking at some of our other majors, so management and marketing. So management training programs are very popular. Sales positions are popular. For marketing, it's again, sales certainly is popular. Public relations, being a buyer. So if you're interested in clothing or fashion or something like that, we have students who go on to work for major retail chains like Macy's and Ross and Gap and things of that nature, and decide essentially what they sell in their stores. We definitely have people who work for startup companies. Again, we have students who go on to graduate school. So lots of different kinds of companies our students are going to after graduation. Looking at, because we're still finishing up our 2021 data, on the map here, this is where our students went after graduation this year. So a little over half our students every year did graduate and go outside of Arizona. Also, and these are not just this past year, but as you can see, if graduate school is something that you are interested in, we have students going to some of the best graduate schools in the world and doing really, really well. Last year, I know of 3 Eller finance alumni who graduated with their MBAs from Harvard. We have students at Berkeley, at the University of Chicago, at Stanford, all kinds of places, at Oxford, at the London School of Economics. I've known several students who've done their master's degree there. So if that is something that you are interested in, definitely something that you can do. If you ever watched the television show Shark Tank, on the ABC network here in the US. These are the 4 teams that were students who graduated from Eller College that went on the television program and got deals with some of the entrepreneurs. And as you can see, 3 of them got deals with Mark Cuban, who is the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. So I definitely want to make sure to take time to answer any questions. And I know you saw a picture of Wilbur. This is what Wilbur and Wilma look like in a suit and a cocktail dress. We hired them to come to our wedding. I literally proposed to my wife on the University of Arizona campus at center court of our basketball arena after a basketball game. Thankfully, she said yes, because there were still a few hundred people watching. It would have been really, really embarrassing. If you ever want to watch it, it's on YouTube, by the way. As I said, I'd be happy to answer any questions, whether you want to do that through the chat or whether you want to unmute. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about our program, about the University of Arizona, Tucson, or whatever.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you so much. That was such a lovely presentation. I mean, 2 years down with University of Arizona, even I got to know so much about Eller that this has been really informative. Okay, so students, this is your time to ask questions. I've been getting some questions on email also. Some of you, are traveling and still listening to us, and I'm really thankful that you're doing that. So I have like 1 or 2 questions that have come to me through email, but I'll take those as well. But in case, in the meanwhile, if you want to put something in the chat box, please do, and we'll be really happy to take some questions. Okay, we have one question, Dave, that has just come in. Post-graduation, can I continue to study for my CFA there?
Yeah, we do. We absolutely have had students that have stayed on to get CFA or CFP or CPA kinds of licensing. I believe in most cases, it's students who are continuing and doing a master's degree either in finance. So if you're wondering, for example, do we have a master's in finance that you can complete immediately after the undergraduate degree? Absolutely, definitely. And if that's the kind of thing you're interested in, it's worth mentioning that finance elective that I said that meets on Fridays. It's really, really cool. It's called our Applied Portfolio Management Program. We have about 20 students, 20 undergrads, and 5 masters in finance students who manage a real life stock portfolio. It is real money. When the class started 15 years ago, there was about $1 million US in it. Last time I checked, there were $2.5 million. So students are divided into teams based on industries. And I will answer. Sure, I will answer the question. I'm going to defer to about the full tuition scholarship because that's not my area of expertise, but I'll definitely answer the honors question.
Sure.
And so what'll happen is the students will actually make stock pitches to their classmates. The students can ask questions, the professor can ask questions, and then the students turn around and they vote right then and there. And so whatever the class votes on Monday, they execute the trade.
Thanks so much.
Do you want to answer?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you want to answer the scholarship question?
Yeah, sure. So students, we currently do not have, a full tuition waiver. It's usually reserved for our doctorate or PhD students. Okay. But as compared to some of the other universities, we really have amazing opportunities for all you students, who are academically doing well. Our scholarships cover more than 50% of your tuition. And these are annual scholarships and you get it year on year for 4 years. So I think though it is not full, but the maximum scholarships, like I shared last year, it went on up to 20,000 US dollars, which is huge because, it is more than 50%. The tuition fee is roughly about $37,000. Okay. The honors admission process. Great. That's a good question. If some of you want to apply for the honors degree, etc. The admission process is slightly different from the usual. Dave, do you have any experience, or would you like to share any honors application tips that you would like to give students?
I would, and I know I also received a question about working on campus, which I think also relates to the scholarship. So I will answer both of those questions. So in addition to the honors. The University of Arizona admissions campus, yes, you can apply for the Honors College with, I believe it's an essay, a letter of recommendation. You can submit SAT or SAT scores if you think they will help your application, but you are not required to, and it will not be counted against you because of COVID if you don't submit your scores. One of the benefits of being in the Honors College is It is the newest, you don't have to, but our newest residence hall on campus, the Honors Village, which is right across the street from McClellan Hall. You can live there, and beautiful facility. There's an indoor cafeteria. There's a rec center right across the street. Honor students also get to register for classes earlier than non-honor students. The honors specific classes do tend to be a little bit smaller. They tend to be more interactive. And so typically then to graduate from the Honors College, roughly about 1 in 4 of your classes over 4 years needs to be for honors credit. And you need to have an honors thesis project of some kind. In Eller, that can either be research with an individual faculty member. If you're a finance student, it's that portfolio management class. If you're an entrepreneurship major, it is the business plan that you do at the end of your year as an entrepreneurship student. And so I advised honor students at the Eller College for 6.5 years. I'm a big fan of our honors program. And unlike some other schools, yes, you get to take classes with honor students, but you also get to take classes with non-honor students. And I think having both is really, really helpful, because if you want to be a manager or a leader of some kind, you need to be able to lead and manage and work with people of all different kinds. And so I think it's great to have those, specific focused honors classes, but it's good to have the non-honors focus as well. Can you work on campus? Absolutely. It's something we definitely encourage. In fact, at the beginning of every semester, there's a big on-campus job fair. And so I know the one for this semester is going to take place on Wednesday. And I know some students even will reach out to, the university has a platform called Handshake, where you can apply for on-campus jobs. And it's even the platform that you'll use to apply for jobs after you graduate. And so you can search specifically for on-campus jobs and apply for them. The University of Arizona would not be able to function without students working on campus. The Eller College of Management would not be able to function without student employees. So yes, that's absolutely something that you can do in addition to any kind of scholarship that you're getting.
Dev, would you like to give us some examples about the on-campus jobs that international students generally take up?
Sure. We have students who work in the bookstore. We have students who work in campus recreation. We have students who work in the student union. We have students who sometimes will work at like the front desk of an academic department or service unit. Let's see. I mean, those three things, those things combined employ hundreds of students on campus. The residence halls hire students to work at their front desks as well. And so there are a number of different opportunities. And my advice to any student, whether they're an international student looking for an on-campus job, or you're looking for your job after graduation, apply. Only one has to say yes, right? So yeah, we definitely have students that do that. So I know, so I had a question about to accounting and finance. So those are definitely two of our more popular majors. So the process is the same for all of our majors. So you're going to submit, typically in February of your sophomore year, you're going to submit a cover letter and resume, and you're going to do an interview that we will schedule for you. And we do that for all students. That's not an international student specific thing. And then we're going to look at all of your grades. We're going to look at your grades in your pre-business classes. And then we're going to look at how your interviewers score your cover letter, resume, and interview. Our accounting, and then what will happen is in either accounting or actually in any of our majors, you'll take in the upper division classes specific to your major, and then you'll take some general business classes that all of our upper division students take. And so I would say, if you have an idea of what you want to major in, so in this case, accounting or finance, one of the things I would absolutely do is in your first semester, I would join one of the student organizations affiliated with that major. And that way you get to meet, juniors and seniors. And accounting, the Eller College, and I should have mentioned this. So right behind me, this is our professional development center. This is a fully donor-funded facility that you can use as a first semester student. One of the things that has allowed us to do is greatly expand the career fairs that we offer. So just in a couple of weeks, even though it's going to be completely virtual, we'll have 85 companies meeting with our students in one day. When there isn't a pandemic, the average is 125 companies in one day. So our absolute job is to help you find a job. Now, accounting even does something more specific called Meet the Firms, which is a job fair just for accounting majors, where you can meet representatives from the big four accounting firms, from smaller accounting firms, for government accounting firms, and things of that nature. And you can. The great things about our career fairs is they are oftentimes the recruiters are Eller or U of A alumni. And you get that face-to-face interaction where you can hand them your resume. And that way, the toughest part of getting any internship or job is just getting the interview. If you can hand someone your resume and you can speak to them directly, it greatly increases your chances of getting that interview. And that's also why you get involved. And you oftentimes the companies will come to student organization meetings. So you can go to your accounting student association or your investment club or your MIS student association and meet professionals in those industries as early as your first year, and start getting to know and network, and ask them questions like the kinds of things that you should be doing in preparation for being eligible for an internship or full-time position, things of that nature. And so many students in accounting will stay on for a fifth year master's degree. It really depends on what kind of accounting you want to do. And so what I would say about that is one of the things that you can utilize are career coaches. So we have career coaches for all of our different majors that, again, you can meet with as first semester students, and you can say, okay, I want to work in finance, or I want to work in accounting or MIS. What companies should I be speaking with? What kinds of, are there electives that are better for what I want to do? Are there alumni that you can kind of connect me with so I can do informational interviews? And so again, you can meet with them right as soon as you start at the U of A. In terms of,
yeah.
And so so in terms of research teaching assistants for undergraduate students, there are some research opportunities. I would say in Eller specifically, they are most often in MIS and in economics. And so really what it would come down to is either, approaching a professor, or I think they make class announcements sometimes about research opportunities. If you get an A in your MIS 111 class, which is our intro to MIS class, that what all students take in your very first semester, then oftentimes you will be asked to be a preceptor, which is like a teacher's assistant. So, and I think with MIS, it also comes with a small scholarship. I think it's like $1,000, which is not a ton of money, but every little bit helps. There are some TA positions where you do have to be a graduate student to be eligible for, but being a preceptor is like being a TA, and those opportunities are absolutely available to undergraduate students. And really, it just comes down to asking a professor. Most Eller classes have at least one preceptor. Some classes like MIS, they have many preceptors every semester. Definitely.
Yes. Dave, do you have more questions which are directed to you directly?
Yes. Yep. I see it. So the average class size, it really depends on the type of class, and I will expand on what that means. So the biggest classes are going to be your university general education classes, which are usually happen in two parts. There's going to be your main lecture, which is going to be oftentimes a couple hundred students. And then once a week, you'll meet in discussion sections that are usually about 25 to 30 students. Your Eller specific classes at the pre-professional level, classes like the accounting classes, the economics class, the MIS class, those are larger. Those are going to be a couple hundred students. But there are the English, and the math, those are much smaller classes. Those usually around 30 students. In the upper division, again, it depends on which kind of class it is. So the general business classes that all Eller majors take, those are usually going to have about 200 students in. The major specific classes are going to have about 40 to 50 students in them. Most of our professors in the Eller college, most Eller classes are taught by professors, with the exception would be in the summer, sometimes they're taught by graduate students. but they're usually taught by professors with PhDs and industry experience. So I think that that's really important. And we have some really just tremendous faculty that really want to help students. In advanced AP credits, we absolutely take AP credit for most classes, and this isn't our specific, this is university-wide, so regardless of major on campus, most scores, most tests you have to score a 4 to earn credit. There are some exams where you can earn, you get credit with a 3. I would say and one of the most helpful from an Eller perspective would be AP Calculus. So if you pass AP Calculus, and I mean AB, certainly BC even better, but if you get a 3 on Calc AB, then you'll have credit for Calculus 1, which means that you will have tested out of our calculus class, which is great. If you pass something like, say, chemistry or biology or something like that, then usually typically it's going to run, you'll earn credits for 2 general education classes. So it just kind of depends. And what will be important is at your freshman orientation, you're going to sit down with an advisor. They're going to talk to you about your first semester scheduled classes. It'll be very, very important that you tell that person, hey, I have AP scores. And we know oftentimes AP scores as a senior don't come in until after your orientation. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So just make sure that you just make sure you let that person know, here are the scores that I have completed so far, here are the exams that I have taken and I'm waiting for scores. And that way we can make sure that you're not enrolled in classes that you may already have credit for. And what your Eller advisor will do, and you should meet with them once a semester, sometimes even more, is they will create a semester by semester plan of here's what you should take every semester, either for the next 3 semesters or even for all 4 years. And that's something that you can access from around the world. I'll never forget talking to one of my favorite MIS students who was doing a program in China. And so we had an appointment and we were going over his semester plan while he was in China. And we've had people do that from other parts of the world as well. That's just one that sticks in my head specifically. So yeah, definitely you can get AP credit.
Great. So Dave, the related question is, are they necessary? So I'm sure, AP credits are an advantage, but they are not absolute necessary, right? If a student is not from the background.
Correct. The vast majority of students do not come in with AP credit. So whether you have AP credit or not will not impact professional. Like it doesn't look bad if that's what the question is. So it can only add. It can only be a benefit to you. It cannot count against you. And so yeah, I would say some students will come in like. I came in with 6 AP units and that to me was really exciting. I've had a handful of students who have come in with 30, 40, 50, 60 units. Now that's not normal. And if you're like, that's not me, don't worry, it doesn't need to be. But yes, your Eller academic advisor can walk you through what exactly your AP scores mean. And so, yeah, it looks like I have another question here that was sent directly to me. So yes, you do have the option to, if a professor is doing research, and on our website, there is information about what all of the professors are doing research on. And we are a Research 1 university, which means, we do a lot of research. And I know we heard at the beginning some of our research statistics. So absolutely, if there's something that you are passionate about, you should definitely go to the professor and say, is there something I can do to help? They may say yes, they may say no, but if that's something you are interested in doing, I would absolutely ask that, definitely.
Right. Do we have some accelerated programs at Eller, Dave? Like the ones, in engineering, maybe where students do like in 5 years, they do a bachelor's plus master's?
So we do have an accelerated master's program for MIS where your senior year, you can, if you're accepted, you have to have a certain GPA. And I don't know if it's a specific GPA. You have to have a high GPA, where as a senior, you can begin to take classes that will count towards your bachelor's degree and your master's degree.
Wow.
So yes, and in fact, that's the only MIS is the only one that we have that works directly like that.
Right.
But yes, there are other students like accounting, like finance, that are typically 1-year master's program that you would complete after you do the bachelor's degree. But MIS is one that you can incorporate into where you're essentially doing both at the same time as a senior.
Absolutely. Great. Okay. So since we are, almost there towards the end, maybe just one or two more questions. I have a student who's contacted me directly through email. So his application wasn't accepted. He wants to know that, now that he has his final score, because that score was like a predictive, and now he has his final score. Will his application be reconsidered if he contacts Eller?
So I'm not sure I understand the question. Meaning, what kind of the meaning
So
you were
okay, so he says
was
that
a
his
TOEFL score?
final score is much more than the predicted grade. Can you please reconsider my application on the basis of the final score?
It kind of depends on the
Sure.
on the exam. So if you're talking about the TOEFL, then yes, if we can absolutely do that. That's the only
No,
thing
I
where
think,
I
yeah,
would.
yeah, I think he's talking about his GPA, his overall GPA, his final scores in his high school. Yeah.
So that's not determined by the Eller College. So
Okay.
admissions makes that determination. So
Sure.
so I don't know. So I don't know if that's something that you'd be able to decide, or you'd have to contact somebody
Yes.
in admission. But yeah, that's not something that we would make a call on.
So I think, Vihan, I'm going to get you in touch with the admissions team so that you can take it forward from there. There was another question on double majors, which I think Dave has, addressed during his presentation, and he explained us, some of the popular combinations that students pick, whether it's MIS in computer science or economics plus, I don't know, psychology, or, whichever the combinations are. Right.
Well, that was in reference to minors. But yes, you can do a double.
Okay.
Double majors are
Right.
possible. It kind of depends on what your major is and how much space that we have. So
Okay.
in MIS, the most popular double majors are operations and supply chain management, which students can do for 2 extra classes. Accounting and MIS also go really, really well together. You can complete those majors for basically 5 extra classes. You are allowed to do a major in Eller and a major outside of Eller. That would be considered a dual degree. You're allowed to do that. But I would say, unless you have a lot of AP or transfer credit, it would be very difficult to do 2 degrees in 4 years. So, but do we allow it? Absolutely. I spoke to an alum recently who earned his bachelor's degree in accounting and molecular cellular biology. He graduated from medical school
Wow.
a few months ago, and now he's a psychiatric resident at Banner UMC in Phoenix. So we don't have co-op semesters per se from the Eller College, but if your question is from an Eller perspective, could you take a semester off? Yes, that's definitely not a problem. The only time it could be a problem is you can't take your first semester in the upper division off. And so really it would just be a question of, I would say before you take a semester off, I would make sure you're talking to international programs and student services so that there aren't any problems with your visa. From an Eller perspective, yeah, you're absolutely welcome to do that. So yeah, we wouldn't have a problem with that. But again, because visas can be very complicated, and that's not my area of expertise, I would just make sure you're talking to international programs. And then if you're allowed to do that, talking to your academic advisor about, how you can be most effective in completing things when you return to campus.
Great. Okay, so I think with this, we've almost addressed all the questions there, and it has been a very, very informative session. And thank you, students, for asking some really interesting, genuine questions. And I think Dave, you were just bombarded with so many questions right from the start of the question and answer round. So we didn't really have to, urge the audience to ask, because sometimes, some
Oh
of the
my gosh,
students
yeah.
are, yeah, they're so shy. They don't end up asking the questions they really want to. But I think this group was really active and they had their questions ready. So thank you so much for answering each and every question in so much detail. And thank you so much for your time. I know it was a little early for you, to get on a call and address us, but we really appreciate all the effort and your time.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. And I want to echo that you asked some great questions. I love questions. And you asked really specific questions. I sometimes will get up, and these are students who grew up in Tucson or Phoenix, and they're just sitting there. Like, no, I want questions. And not only did you ask questions, you asked really intelligent questions. And I will say this, the ability to ask good questions, that is a really good indicator. Companies like that too, because people who ask good questions then get good answers. And that is a very valuable technique that I would encourage you to develop throughout your career. And so, obviously, clearly, I love the University of Arizona and the Eller College of Management. We want there's a place for you here. We would love to have you here as students, and we want you to succeed. And I tell you, everywhere I've been to, and even 3 cities outside the U.S., someone has said bear down to me. In Rome, in Barcelona, in Paris, I hear bear down everywhere. Now it's because I wear U of A stuff everywhere I go. Sure, that's part of it. But we are a very active and proud community, and we would love for you to be part of it and be Wildcats for life.
Great. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, students. So here's the University of Arizona signing off for today. We'll meet you for the next webinar, which will hopefully be on engineering. So see you then. Thank you. Good night, everybody. And have a great day, Dave.
Thank you. Bear down.